I'm Rebecca Hayes, and I'm about to tell you the most heartbreaking story of my life. The day I watched my 8-year-old son, Marcus, stand at our living room window in his astronaut birthday outfit, waiting for grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins who promised they'd come but never showed up. But that wasn't even the worst part. A week later, my mother did something so cruel, so calculated, that it shattered what was left of our family forever. Before I tell you what she sent me, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if you've ever felt like the black sheep of your family, hit that subscribe button, because you're going to want to hear how this ends. Trust me, what my mother did next will leave you speechless. My name is Rebecca Hayes, I'm 32 years old, and for most of my life, I've been invisible in my own family. While my younger sister Veronica was crowned homecoming queen, valedictorian, and eventual doctor married to another doctor, I was the daughter who tried her best. That's what my mother, Patricia, would tell her friends at church. Rebecca tries her best, bless her heart. In the South, you learn quickly that bless her heart is just a polite way of saying she's a disappointment. I married young at 22 to a man named Derek who seemed perfect on paper. He had a good job in sales, came from a respectable family, and my parents approved, especially after Veronica had just gotten engaged to Dr. Christopher Lauron. My mother needed something to brag about, and my engagement came at the perfect time. But Derek wasn't who I thought he was. 3 years into our marriage, when I was 6 months pregnant with Marcus, I discovered he'd been having an affair with his secretary. The cliché of it would have been funny if it wasn't destroying my life. The divorce was ugly. Derek fought me on everything: child support, custody, even the furniture. My family's response? My mother said I must have driven him to it by not keeping him happy at home. My father, Richard, barely acknowledged it at all. Only Veronica showed any sympathy, though it felt performative, like she was playing the role of supportive sister while secretly relieved it wasn't her life falling apart. For the past 8 years, I've been raising Marcus alone. I work as a dental hygienist at Dr. Morrison's practice, decent pay, but nothing glamorous. We live in a small 2-bedroom apartment in a safe neighborhood because that's what I can afford. Marcus is my entire world. He's brilliant, funny, kind, and obsessed with everything related to space and astronauts. His bedroom walls are covered with pictures of planets, rockets, and astronauts floating in the cosmos. My relationship with my family has always been strained, but I kept trying for Marcus's sake. He deserved to know his grandparents, his aunt and uncle, his cousins. Except every family gathering reminded me exactly where I stood in the hierarchy. Last Christmas was a perfect example. My parents hosted dinner at their large house in the wealthy part of town. Veronica arrived with Christopher and their 3 children, Madison, 10, Tyler, 8, and baby Harper, 2. The presents under the tree told the whole story. Madison received a new iPad Pro. Tyler got a gaming system with a dozen games. Even baby Harper had a mountain of expensive toys. Marcus opened his gift to find a $25 gift card to Target with a generic birthday card that had nephew crossed out and grandson written above it in my mother's handwriting. She'd literally recycled someone else's card. I watched Marcus's face carefully arrange itself into gratitude. "Thanks, Grandma Pat," he said quietly. She barely looked up from cooing over Harper's new talking teddy bear that probably cost $200. At dinner, the conversation revolved around Madison's acceptance into a prestigious private school, Tyler's soccer trophies, Christopher's promotion to chief of surgery, and Veronica's charity work with the Junior League. When Marcus tried to share that he'd won the school science fair with his project on Mars rovers, my mother interrupted him. "That's nice, dear. Veronica, tell everyone about the gala." I saw Marcus shrink into himself, and something inside me hardened. But I swallowed it down like I always did, smiled, and helped clear the dishes while Veronica held court in the dining room. The breaking point came 2 months ago. Marcus had been asking about his birthday for weeks. He wanted an astronaut-themed party with his school friends, but he also desperately wanted his family there. "Mom, do you think Grandma Pat and Grandpa Richard will come this time?" he asked one night as I tucked him in. "And Aunt Veronica with Madison and Tyler? Tyler's the same age as me. We could be best friends if we spent more time together." My heart ached. "I'll make sure to invite everyone, honey. We'll have the best astronaut party ever." I spent weeks planning. Despite my tight budget, I saved every extra dollar. I ordered an astronaut cake from the fancy bakery, the one I usually walk past without going in. I bought decorations, silver streamers, planet balloons, a "Welcome to Space Station Marcus" banner. I found astronaut helmets at the party store for each kid. I even rented a small telescope so the kids could look at the moon during the afternoon party. I planned activities. A moon rock scavenger hunt with painted stones I'd spent hours crafting, a rocket building station with empty bottles and construction paper, and I downloaded a space documentary narrated by an actual astronaut to play during snack time. The party would be in our apartment complex's community room, which I'd reserved weeks in advance. 3 weeks before the party, I sent out invitations. For Marcus's school friends, I used Evite. For family, I went traditional, handwriting invitations on special space-themed cards I'd found. I wrote a personal note in each one. "Dear Mom and Dad, Marcus would be so happy if you could come celebrate his 8th birthday. He talks about you all the time and would love to show you his rocket collection. The party is Saturday, April 15th at 2 p.m. Love, Rebecca and Marcus **. I customized each invitation. For Veronica and Christopher, I mentioned how much Marcus wanted Tyler there since they were the same age. For my Uncle James and Aunt Carol, I referenced how Marcus remembered them from Thanksgiving. For my cousins, I kept it warm and welcoming. Within a few days, the responses started coming. My mother texted, "Put us down as a yes. I can't wait to see my grandson. We'll try to get there by 2:30 after my hair appointment." Veronica responded, "We'll definitely be there. Tyler's been asking about Marcus. See you then." Blue heart. Uncle James called, "Wouldn't miss it for the world, Becca. Carol and I will be there." One by one, 12 family members confirmed. Marcus was over the moon. He made a countdown calendar, crossing off each day. He picked out his outfit 2 weeks early, his astronaut costume from Halloween that I'd carefully saved, complete with NASA patches I'd iron on myself. He practiced fun space facts to share with everyone. "Did you know Mars has the biggest volcano in the solar system, Mom? I'm gonna tell Grandpa Richard that. He likes science." The week before the party, I confirmed the final head count. 15 kids from school had RSVP'd yes, plus 12 family members, plus Marcus and me. I bought supplies for 30 people to be safe. I spent $400 I really couldn't spare, but watching Marcus's excitement made every penny worth it. I picked up the cake on Friday, a stunning creation with an astronaut figurine standing on a moon surface, surrounded by planets. It cost $85, nearly a day's wages for me, but Marcus's face when he saw it made my financial anxiety disappear. "Mom, it's perfect. Everyone's gonna love it." Friday night, I stayed up until 2 a.m. decorating the community room. I hung planets from the ceiling, creating a solar system. I set up the rocket building station with all the supplies organized. I arranged the moon rocks for the scavenger hunt. I set up a photo booth area with a homemade backdrop painted to look like the moon surface. My friend Jennifer from work had helped me paint it, and it looked professional. Saturday morning, Marcus woke up at 6 a.m., too excited to sleep. "It's my birthday. It's my party day." He put on his costume immediately and wore it through breakfast. I made his favorite, chocolate chip pancakes shaped like stars. At noon, we headed to the community room to do final preparations. Marcus helped me set out plates and napkins, each decorated with rockets and planets. We filled goodie bags for his school friends, glow sticks, small toy rockets, space stickers, and astronaut ice cream I'd ordered online. At 1:45, we did a final check. Everything was perfect. "Mom, when do you think Grandma Pat will get here?" Marcus asked, positioning himself near the window where he could see the parking lot. She said, 2:30, honey. Your friends from school will probably arrive first. And they did. By 2:15, 8 kids from Marcus's class had arrived with their parents. The room filled with laughter and energy as the kids explored the decorations and activities. Marcus kept glancing at the door between greeting his friends. By 2:45, all 15 school friends had arrived. No family members. "Maybe they're stuck in traffic," Marcus said, his voice smaller than before. I texted my mother. "Hi, Mom. Party started. See you soon." No response. I called. straight to voicemail. At 3 o'clock, I texted Veronica. Hey, we're all here. Everything okay? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response. I called Uncle James. It rang 6 times, then voicemail. By 3:30, Marcus had stopped looking at the door. He was participating in the activities with his school friends, but I could see the hurt in his eyes. When we sang Happy Birthday and cut the cake, I saw him scan the room, counting the missing faces. During the rocket building activity, one of his classmates, a sweet boy named Jeremy, asked, Marcus, where's your family? You said your grandparents were coming. Marcus's lip trembled. They got stuck. They're really busy. I excused myself to the bathroom and cried silently into paper towels for 5 minutes. Then I fixed my makeup, put on my brightest smile, and went back to celebrate my son. The party ended at 5 o'clock. Parents picked up their kids, each one telling Marcus what a great party it was. After the last family left, it was just Marcus and me in the decorated room. He was still wearing his astronaut helmet, but he'd taken off the rest of the costume. Mom, did I do something wrong? Is that why nobody came? I knelt down and pulled him close.
No, baby.
You didn't do anything wrong.
Not a single thing.
Sometimes grown-ups make bad choices, and this was their bad choice, not anything you did. But I really wanted Grandma to see my moon rocks. And I wanted to show Tyler my rocket facts. We packed up in silence. I loaded the car with the untouched family-sized portions of food, the extra cake, the decorations that suddenly felt like monuments to rejection. At home, Marcus went straight to his room. Through the door, I heard quiet crying. I sat in my kitchen surrounded by space-themed party supplies and let myself feel the full weight of the rage I'd been suppressing for 8 years.
How dare they?
How dare they promise an 8-year-old boy they'd come to his birthday party and then simply not show up? Not even a text message. Not even a courtesy lie about an emergency. My phone sat silent on the counter.
No apology texts.
No explanation calls. Nothing. Sunday morning, Marcus asked if we could take down his birthday countdown calendar. I don't want to look at it anymore, he said quietly. We spent the day watching space documentaries, eating leftover birthday cake for every meal, and I held my son while he processed rejection that no child should have to understand. Monday arrived and still nothing from my family. I dropped Marcus at school and went to work, going through the motions of cleaning teeth and making small talk while fury burned in my chest. Tuesday morning, I woke up to a notification on my phone. An email from my mother. The subject line read, Outstanding balance, immediate payment required. My hand shook as I opened it. Rebecca. After careful review of family financial records and consultation with Veronica and your father, I'm writing to inform you of your outstanding family debt that requires immediate settlement. Over the past 8 years, this family has provided significant financial and material support to you and Marcus, and it's time for you to take financial responsibility. Please find the attached itemized invoice. The total amount due is $15,347.82. I expect payment within 30 days. Attached was a PDF titled, Hayes Family Financial Settlement, Rebecca Hayes. I opened it with trembling fingers. What I saw made my blood run cold. Hayes Family Financial Settlement, ***. Amount due, $15,347.82. Itemized charges. Christmas gifts, 8 years. 2016. Target gift card, $25 equals $25. 2017. Puzzle set, $30 equals $30. 2018. Building blocks, $35 equals $35. Each year itemized through 2023. Subtotal, $312. Birthday gifts, 8 years. Similar itemization. Subtotal, $245. Family dinner hosting, 8 years. Thanksgiving dinners attended by Rebecca and Marcus. 8 dinners times $45 per person times 2 people equals $720. Christmas dinners. 8 dinners times $55 per person times 2 people equals $880. Easter dinners. 7 dinners times $40 per person times 2 people equals $560. Miscellaneous family gatherings. 23 occasions times $30 per person times 2 people equals $1,380. Subtotal, $3,540. Housing support, L. Emotional support and counseling during divorce, valued at $150 per hour for 20 hours equals $3,000. Temporary storage of items in our garage during apartment transition, 6 months at $200 per month equals $1,200. Subtotal, $4, 200.00 ***. Child care support. Babysitting services provided, 47 occasions times $15 per hour times 3 hours average equals $2,115. Subtotal, $2,115. Gifts and material support. Hand-me-down clothes from Madison to Marcus, valued at original retail price, equals $847. Used toys and books equals $423.82. Subtotal, $1,270.82. Transportation and miscellaneous. Gas expenses for visiting your apartment, 34 visits times $25 equals $850. Phone calls and emotional labor, 156 calls times $10 equals $1,560. Time spent on family coordination involving your needs, 45 hours times $35 per hour equals $1,575. Subtotal, $3,985. Late payment fee. 8 years of non-payment equals $180. Total due, $15,347.82. Payment due by May 15th. Make checks payable to Patricia Hayes. Failure to pay will result in formal legal action and termination of all family relationships and privileges. I read it 3 times, certain I was hallucinating. My mother had invoiced me for being part of the family. She'd assigned dollar values to Christmas presents, to dinners where I'd been repeatedly humiliated, to babysitting that consisted of 3 occasions where she'd watched Marcus for an hour while I ran urgent errands, and one time when she'd picked him up from school because I had the flu. The emotional support during divorce? She'd told me I'd driven Derek to cheat. That was worth $3,000 apparently. The hand-me-down clothes? Old, stained clothes Madison had outgrown that my mother was throwing away anyway, now valued at original retail price. Phone calls and emotional labor? Every call where she'd criticized my parenting, my job, my life choices. And the transportation costs? For the 34 times in 8 years she'd come to my apartment, usually to drop off something she wanted out of her house. I sat on my bathroom floor and laughed until I cried. Then I cried until I couldn't breathe. Then I got angry, angrier than I'd ever been in my entire life. This was why they hadn't come to Marcus's party. They'd been calculating, tallying, deciding I'd taken too much from the family bank without contributing enough. And rather than simply tell me we were no longer welcome, my mother had created this invoice as a final, crushing message. You were never really family. You were a debtor. I looked at the due date. May 15th, 19 days away. I called Jennifer, my friend from work. She came over during her lunch break, read the email, and stared at me in horror. Rebecca, I don't even have words. This is financial abuse. Emotional abuse. This is insane. She sent me a bill, Jen. She literally sent me a bill for being her daughter. What are you going to do? I looked at my phone, at the email that represented 32 years of being undervalued, overlooked, and used. I thought about Marcus standing at the window in his astronaut costume, believing his family loved him enough to show up. I'm going to respond, I said quietly. And then I'm done. That evening, after Marcus went to bed, I sat at my laptop and wrote the most important email of my life. I didn't write it in anger, though anger fueled it. I wrote it with clarity, with 8 years of single motherhood and 32 years of conditional love finally crystallizing into truth. Subject, outstanding balance, response. Dear Patricia, thank you for your itemized invoice dated April 24th. I've reviewed each line item carefully, and I'd like to respond with my own accounting. First, regarding the $557 in gifts over 8 years, that averages to $69.62 per year for birthdays and Christmas combined. I accept these charges, as they accurately reflect the minimum effort required to maintain the appearance of a grandparent who cares. Regarding the $3,540 in family dinner charges, I find it interesting that you're charging me for the privilege of attending events where I was consistently belittled, where Marcus was ignored, and where we were reminded at every opportunity that we were lesser than Veronica's family. However, I'll pay this, as it's valuable to finally have a price tag on your conditional love. The $4,200 in housing support is particularly creative. The emotional support during my divorce, where you told me I'd driven my husband to cheat and that I should have tried harder to keep him happy, that's worth $3,000? And the 6 months you let me store 3 boxes in your garage, the boxes you called repeatedly asking me to remove because they were in the way, are valued at $1,200? I'm learning so much about family economics. The $2,115 in childcare is my favorite line item. Let me remind you of the actual babysitting you provided. November 2019, watched Marcus for 45 minutes while I got a flu shot. You called twice asking when I'd be back. March 2020, picked him up from school once because I had COVID. You dropped him off an hour later because you had plans. June 2021, watched him for 2 hours during a dentist appointment. You fed him expired yogurt and he got food poisoning. That's 3 occasions totaling approximately 5 hours. You've charged me $2,115 for 5 hours, which equals $423 per hour. I didn't realize you ran a luxury childcare service. The hand-me-down clothes valued at $847? Those were stained, torn, and several sizes too small for Marcus. I donated most of them. But thank you for assigning retail value to your trash. Now, let me present you with my own invoice. Marcus Hayes Emotional Damage Settlement. Amount due from Patricia Hayes. Priceless, but we'll use your accounting methods. Missed birthday party, April 15th, 2024. Confirmed attendance, no show, no apology. Emotional damage to an 8-year-old child who waited 3 hours, $50,000. Therapy sessions he'll need to process family abandonment, $15,000. Breach of promise to a minor, $10,000. 8 years of differential treatment. Christmas gifts tea. Oh, Madison, estimated $5,000 total asterisk. Christmas gifts to Tyler, estimated $4,500 total asterisk. Christmas gifts to Marcus, $312 total. Emotional damage from repeated demonstration of favoritism, $100,000. Birthday treatment over 8 years. Parties attended for Madison, 10 all. Parties attended for Tyler, 8 all. Parties attended for Marcus, 0. Cost of teaching a child he's unworthy of love, $150,000. Grandmother services not rendered babysitting provided to Veronica's children, estimated 400 hours asterisk. Babysitting provided to Marcus, 5 hours. Cost of demonstrating to grandson that he's less valuable, $200,000 asterisk. Public humiliation and criticism. Bless her heart comments to friends and family, 147 documented occasions times $500 equals $73, 500 asterisk. Direct criticism of my parenting, 89 occasions times $750 equals $66,750. Comparisons to Veronica, 234 occasions times $600 equals $140,400. Recycled birthday card, Christmas 2023. Using a discarded card with nephew crossed out for your grandson, $5,000 asterisk. Psychological cost of that level of thoughtlessness, $25,000. Total emotional damage, $835,650. However, I'm prepared to call us even under one condition. You never contact me or Marcus again. Asterisk. You've made it abundantly clear through your actions and now through this invoice that we were never truly family to you. We were obligations, line items, burdens to be calculated and resented. You've spent 8 years showing my son that he's less valuable than his cousins, and I've spent 8 years making excuses for you, hoping you'd change. Your invoice was the greatest gift you could have given me because it finally made everything clear. The missed birthday party wasn't neglect or poor planning. It was a message. This invoice is simply making that message explicit. We don't want you here. Message received. Consider your invoice paid in full by my permanent absence from your life. You'll never have to spend another dollar, another minute, or another ounce of emotional energy on Marcus or me. You're free. I'm also freeing myself from 32 years of trying to earn love from someone incapable of giving it. I'm freeing Marcus from growing up believing he has to prove his worth to people who should love him unconditionally. Don't contact us. Don't come to our home. Don't send cards, gifts, or emails. We're done. Marcus asked me yesterday if he did something wrong. If that's why his family didn't come to his party. I told him no, that sometimes grown-ups make bad choices. Today, I'm making a good choice for both of us. We're choosing ourselves. Goodbye, Patricia. Rebecca. My finger hovered over the send button for a long moment. Once I sent this, there was no going back. My family, dysfunctional and hurtful as they were, would be gone. Marcus would grow up without grandparents, without aunts and uncles and cousins. Then I thought about him standing at that window in his astronaut costume. I thought about him asking if he'd done something wrong. I thought about years of watching him receive recycled cards and clearance toys while his cousins opened iPads and designer clothes. I pressed send. The response came within an hour, not from my mother, but from Veronica. Rebecca, Mom showed me your email. How dare you speak to her that way after everything she's done for you? You're being dramatic and ungrateful. That invoice was her way of helping you understand financial responsibility. She was trying to teach you a lesson because you've always been irresponsible with money. And now you're using Marcus as a weapon against the family. We all had legitimate reasons for missing his party. I had a conference. Mom had a migraine. We were going to reschedule. You didn't even give us a chance before you sent that horrible, abusive email. Don't expect any support from this family anymore. You've burned every bridge. I read it twice and laughed. A conference she never mentioned before. A migraine that didn't prevent my mother from going to lunch with Veronica that same day. I'd seen the Instagram post. And I was using Marcus as a weapon by protecting him from people who treated him as less than. I blocked Veronica's number. Then my mother's. Then my father's. One by one, I went through my contacts and blocked every family member who had confirmed attendance at Marcus's party and never showed. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The next few weeks were strange. I felt lighter, despite losing my entire family. I'd been carrying the weight of their disappointment, their expectations, their conditional love for so long that I hadn't realized how heavy it was until I set it down. Marcus noticed the change. Mom, you seem happier, he said one evening as we built a Lego rocket together. I am, honey. Is it because of my birthday? I chose my words carefully. Remember how we talked about how sometimes grown-ups make bad choices? He nodded. Well, some grown-ups make bad choices so many times that we have to make a choice too. We have to choose to spend our time with people who treat us well. People who show up. Like Jeremy from school? He always shares his snacks with me. Exactly like Jeremy. And like Miss Jennifer for my work. And like Mr. Peterson next door, who helped you with your science project. Marcus thought about this. So we're making our own family? Like how astronauts on the space station are far from their families, but they make a family with their crew. I pulled him close. That's exactly right. We're choosing our crew. Over the following months, my mother tried several times to reach me through mutual friends, through old neighbors, even through Marcus's school once. Each time, I politely but firmly shut it down. She never apologized. She never acknowledged the invoice was inappropriate. She simply expected that eventually I'd come crawling back because family is family. But I'd learned something important. DNA doesn't make family. Love does. Respect does. Showing up does. 6 months after the birthday party, Marcus and I threw a half-birthday celebration. We invited his school friends, Jennifer and her daughter, Mr. Peterson from next door, and 3 other families from Marcus's class who had become genuine friends. It was small, loud, chaotic, and perfect. As we sang happy birthday and Marcus blew out the candles on his half-birthday cake, space-themed again, because some things don't change, he turned to me and whispered, "This is better than having a big family, isn't it?" "It's better than having a fake family," I whispered back. "Real family shows up. Like our crew." Exactly like our crew. 1 year after the birthday party that nobody attended, I received a Facebook message from my mother. I'd blocked her everywhere else, but she'd created a new account to reach me. "Rebecca, I hope you've had time to reconsider your dramatic response last year. Veronica is hosting Thanksgiving, and we'd like to extend an invitation to you and Marcus. It's time to put this foolishness behind us and act like a family again. I'm willing to forgive you for that terrible email if you're willing to apologize and move forward." I stared at the message for a long moment. There was no acknowledgement of the invoice. No apology for missing Marcus's birthday. No recognition of the 8 years of differential treatment. Just an expectation that I'd apologize for defending my son and myself, and a gracious offer to forgive me for having boundaries. I typed a simple response. "No, thank you." And then I blocked the new account. That Thanksgiving, Marcus and I hosted dinner in our apartment. Jennifer brought her daughter Emma. Mr. Peterson brought his famous mac and cheese. 3 families from Marcus's school came with their kids. We crowded around my small dining table, eating off mismatched plates, laughing so loud the neighbors probably heard us. During grace, Marcus said, "I'm thankful for my real family, the people who choose to be here." Everyone around the table raised their glasses. "To chosen family," Jennifer said. "To showing up," Mr. Peterson added. "To being chosen," I whispered, tears in my eyes. After everyone left, Marcus and I cleaned up together. He was quiet, thoughtful in the way he gets when he's processing something big. "Mom, do you ever miss them? Grandma Pat and everyone?" I considered lying, but I'd promised myself to always be honest with him about the hard things. "Sometimes I miss what I wish they were," I said carefully. "I miss the idea of having a big family that loves us. But I don't miss how they actually treated us. Does that make sense?" He nodded slowly. "Like how I thought I wanted a dad, but then I realized I just wanted someone who would come to my stuff and care about what I like."
And you do that.
"You're my mom and my dad." My heart cracked open. "And you're the best son anyone could ask for." "Mom, yeah, honey, I'm glad they didn't come to my birthday party." I looked at him in surprise. "Really? Because if they came, you would have kept pretending. And I would have kept thinking something was wrong with me. But when they didn't come and when you read me the email you sent Grandma Pat, I understood it wasn't me.
It was them."
I debated whether to tell him about the invoice and my response. In the end, I'd read him an age-appropriate version, explaining that sometimes people show you they don't value you, and when they do, you have to value yourself enough to walk away. "You're pretty wise for a 9-year-old, I said, ruffling his hair. 9.5, he corrected, grinning. "And I learned from the best." 2 years after the invoice, I was at Target when I ran into my mother. We turned down the same aisle, and suddenly there she was, looking older than I remembered, smaller somehow.
She froze when she saw me.
"Rebecca." "Patricia." We stared at each other. I could see her calculating, deciding how to play this unexpected encounter. "You look well," she finally said. "I am. Very well. Marcus must be, what, 10 now?" 10.5. She nodded. "Veronica's children are doing wonderfully. Madison just got accepted to an Ivy League prep school. Tyler won a state championship in soccer." Of course she led with that. "Some things never change." "That's nice," I said neutrally. "Rebecca, we need to talk about." "No, we don't." I kept my voice calm, matter of fact. "There's nothing to talk about. I'm your mother. You billed me $15,000 for being your daughter. You missed my son's birthday party after promising him you'd be there. You've spent a decade showing us we don't matter to you. That's all the conversation we need to have." Her face flushed. "That invoice was to teach you responsibility. You've always been irresponsible, Rebecca. Someone needed to show you. By charging me for being part of the family? By assigning dollar values to recycled birthday cards. You're twisting everything. You always do this, playing the victim." I felt the old patterns trying to reassert themselves, the instinct to defend myself, to explain, to make her understand. But I'd learned something in the past 2 years. You can't make people understand when they're committed to misunderstanding you. I hope you have a nice day, Patricia. I pushed my cart past her. Rebecca, wait. Your father, he's not well. He's been asking about you and Marcus. I stopped, turned back. Is he dying? She looked shocked at my bluntness. No, but he's had some health scares. If he wants to speak to me, he has my number. He's always had my number. He's too proud to call. Then I guess we're at an impasse. I walked away. My hands were shaking, but my heart was steady. In the parking lot, I sat in my car for 10 minutes, processing the encounter. I felt sad, but I didn't feel guilty. That was progress. Marcus is 11 now. He's thriving in school, especially in science and math. He has real friends, kids who value him and include him. He's confident in a way I never was at his age, because he knows his worth isn't contingent on other people's approval. Last week, he asked if he could change his last name to Hayes Morrison, adding my maiden name. Because the Hayes family didn't want us, but we want ourselves. And Morrison sounds cool. We're in the process of making it official. Sometimes people ask if I regret cutting off my family. The answer is complicated. I grieve what I never had, the mother who should have protected me, the family that should have celebrated Marcus. But I don't regret protecting my son from people who taught him his value was negotiable. Last month, something unexpected happened. My father called. Not from his regular number, which I'd blocked, but from a hospital phone. A nurse got on first. Ms. Hayes? Your father, Richard Hayes, is here at Memorial Hospital. He's had a stroke. He's stable, but he's asking for you. My first instinct was to hang up. My second was to feel guilty for that first instinct. My third was to remember that guilt was a tool my family had used to control me for 32 years. Can he speak? I asked. Yes, though with some difficulty. Would you like me to put him on? I took a deep breath. Yes. There was rustling, then my father's voice, weaker than I'd ever heard it. Becca? Nobody had called me Becca in years. I'm here. I need to tell you something. Before it's too late. Dad, you're going to be fine. The nurse said you're stable. Not about the stroke. About everything else. He paused, and I could hear his labored breathing. The invoice. I told her it was wrong. I told Patricia it was cruel. We fought about it for weeks. I was silent, processing this information. She said you needed to learn your place. That you've been taking advantage of the family for years. That Marcus was getting ideas above his station. He coughed weakly. I should have stood up to her. I should have come to Marcus's party. I wanted to, Becca. I had my keys in my hand. But you didn't come. Patricia said if I went, she'd leave me. She said I had to choose between her and you. And I. His voice broke. I chose wrong. I've been choosing wrong for 32 years. You deserved better. Marcus deserved better. Tears ran down my face in the Target parking lot where I'd been sitting since the call came through. Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm 67 years old, I've had a stroke, and I can't die knowing I never apologized. I can't die with my grandson thinking his grandfather didn't love him. Dad, he's 11. He doesn't remember you ever showing him you loved him. The silence on the other end was heavy with truth. Can I see him? My father finally asked. Can I try to make it right? I thought about Marcus, about the confident, happy boy who no longer waited by windows for people who promised to show up. I thought about the invoice, about years of choosing peace over protection, about the cost of letting toxic people stay in our lives just because they're family. I need to think about it, I said finally, and I need to talk to Marcus. He gets to decide if he wants a relationship with you. That's fair. That's more than fair. Dad, if I let you back in even a little, you need to understand something. The first time you disappoint him, the first time you choose Veronica's kids over him, the first time you let Mom manipulate you into hurting him, we're done. No second chances.
No excuses.
Are we clear? Crystal clear. I'll talk to Marcus and call you back. That evening, I told Marcus about the call. He listened carefully, his face unreadable. What do you think? I asked when I finished.
He was quiet for a long time.
Is Grandpa Richard going to die? Probably not from the stroke, but he's getting older. Eventually, yes. And he wants to say sorry? Yes. Marcus picked at a thread on the couch cushion. In space, when something breaks, astronauts have to decide if it's worth fixing or if it's safer to just leave it broken. Some things are too damaged to repair. That's very wise. Is Grandpa Richard too damaged to repair? I don't know, honey. That's why I'm asking what you think. He thought about it for several more minutes. Can we try? But just a little bit? Like a test mission? A test mission. I like that. And if he messes up, we abort the mission? Immediately. Okay. Then yeah, we can try. The next day, we visited my father in the hospital. Marcus wore his favorite space shirt and brought a drawing he'd made of the solar system. My father cried when he saw us, real tears that seemed to come from somewhere deep and genuine. Marcus, I'm so sorry I missed your birthday. I'm sorry for all the birthdays I missed. Marcus nodded solemnly. Mom says you have to show up, not just say you will. She's absolutely right. Can I show you something? My father reached into his bedside table and pulled out a small photo album. I've been keeping this since you were born. Every school photo your mom sent me, every drawing, every report card. I know I didn't act like I cared, but I did.
Ido.
Marcus looked through the album, surprised. There he was, age 3, 4, 5, all the way to his most recent school picture. My father had kept every single one. Why didn't you come see me if you cared? Marcus asked, his voice small. My father glanced at me, then back at Marcus. Because I was scared of your grandmother. And that's not a good excuse, but it's the truth. I let her control me, and in doing that, I hurt you.
I'm so sorry.
Marcus considered this. Are you still scared of her? A little. But I'm more scared of dying without knowing my grandson. Okay, Marcus said finally. You can know me, but you have to actually show up this time. I will. I promise. Over the next 6 months, my father kept that promise. He came to Marcus's science fair and actually stayed for the whole thing, asking questions and taking photos. He took Marcus to the planetarium and sat through a 3-hour space documentary without complaining once. He showed up for pizza nights at our apartment, helping Marcus with homework at our small kitchen table. The relationship was careful, tentative, with boundaries I enforced strictly. My father understood. He was on probation. One slip, and the door would close permanently. My mother tried to interfere twice. The first time, she called my father and demanded he stop seeing us, saying it was disloyal to her. He told her no. The second time, she showed up at his apartment when Marcus was visiting. My father called me immediately, and I picked Marcus up within 10 minutes. My father had to make a choice, and for once, he chose us. 2 months after that incident, my father filed for divorce from my mother. He told me it should have happened decades ago. She's not going to change, he said. And I'm tired of being the person she made me into. I want to be the grandfather Marcus deserves while I still have time. The divorce was brutal. My mother hired an expensive lawyer and fought for everything. But my father stood firm. He sent me copies of the invoice she'd sent me, telling his lawyer, "This is the kind of person she is. This is what she's capable of." Through all of this, Veronica remained firmly on my mother's side. She sent me emails calling me manipulative, saying I destroyed the family, claiming I'd turned our father against his wife. I never responded. There was nothing to say to someone so committed to their version of events. Marcus is 12 now. Last week was his birthday, and we threw a party. Not as elaborate as the one 4 years ago, but full of people who genuinely wanted to be there. Jennifer and her daughter Emma. Mr. Peterson. 5 families from school. Marcus's science club friends. And my father, who arrived early to help set up and stayed late to help clean. As we sang happy birthday, I watched Marcus blow out his candles, surrounded by people who chose to show up. My father had tears in his eyes. "What did you wish for?" I asked Marcus later. "I can't tell you or it won't come true," he said with a grin. Then, quieter, but it already kind of came true. Everyone I wanted to be here was here. That night, after everyone left and Marcus was in bed, my father helped me finish the dishes. "Thank you for giving me a second chance," he said. "I know I didn't deserve it." "You're right, you didn't. But Marcus believed you deserved a test mission. So far, you're passing." I won't let him down again. Or you. See that you don't. He dried the last plate and set it carefully in the cupboard. For what it's worth, Rebecca, you're a better mother than Patricia ever was. And Marcus is lucky to have you. Coming from him, after everything, that meant something. 3 months ago, I received an email from an attorney representing my mother. She was suing for grandparental visitation rights to Marcus. The email outlined her case, claiming I'd alienated her from her grandson and that she had a right to a relationship with him. I called my own lawyer, a fierce woman named Diana, who'd helped me with custody agreements during my divorce. Does she have a case? I asked. Diana read through the documents. In this state, grandparents can petition for visitation, but they have to prove it's in the child's best interest. Do you have documentation of her behavior? I have an invoice she sent me for $15,000 for being her daughter. I have text messages confirming she'd attend Marcus's 8th birthday and then not showing up. I have 8 years of gift disparities. I have her refusing to help during my divorce. I have everything. Diana smiled. Then no, she doesn't have a case. But we'll need to respond formally. The court hearing was scheduled for last month. My mother showed up with her expensive lawyer, dressed immaculately, playing the role of grieving grandmother being unfairly kept from her beloved grandson. She testified about how much she loved Marcus, how she'd always been there for him, how I was vindictive and using him as a weapon in family disputes. Then it was my turn. Diana presented the invoice, blown up on a screen for the judge to see. She presented the text messages. The photos from social media showing my mother out to lunch during Marcus's party. 8 years of Christmas gift receipts showing the disparity in spending. Your Honor, Diana said, this is not a loving grandmother being unfairly denied access. This is a woman who spent 8 years demonstrating to her grandson that he was less valuable than his cousins, culminating in billing his mother $15,000 for basic family interactions. The judge read through everything carefully. Then she called Marcus into her chambers for a private conversation. He was gone for 20 minutes. When he came back, the judge rendered her decision. Ms. Hayes is proven, through extensive documentation, that the petitioner has engaged in a pattern of favoritism and emotional neglect toward the minor child. The invoice alone demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of familial obligation and healthy family relationships. The minor child, when interviewed, expressed no desire for a relationship with his grandmother and articulated clear, age-appropriate reasons for this decision based on her past behavior. My mother stood up, her lawyer trying to quiet her. Your Honor, that child has been poisoned against me. Ms. Hayes, the judge said sternly, the child told me, in his own words, about waiting at a window in his astronaut costume for family members who promised to attend his birthday but never came. Children don't fabricate that kind of specific, emotional detail. They live it. The petition was denied. My mother was ordered to have no contact with Marcus or me unless we initiated it. As we left the courthouse, my mother tried to approach us in the parking lot, but her lawyer pulled her back. That evening, Marcus asked, "Is Grandma Pat ever going to leave us alone?" I don't know, honey. But legally, she has to now.
Good.
Because my real grandpa is coming to my science competition next week, and I don't want her to ruin it. My father did come to the competition. He sat in the front row, cheering when Marcus won second place with his project on sustainable Mars colonization. Afterward, we went out for ice cream, just the three of us, and my father told stories about teaching physics to high school students, about experiments that went wrong and right. Marcus laughed at all of them, even the bad jokes. And I realized that this, right here, was what healing looked like. Not perfect, not without scars, but genuine.
Real.
Last week, I received one final email from my mother's attorney. She was dropping all legal action. No explanation, just a formal notice of withdrawal. I suspect the legal fees were mounting, and her lawyer had finally convinced her she had no case. I deleted the email and went back to planning Marcus's upcoming space camp trip, a week-long program at the Kennedy Space Center that he'd been accepted into. My father had offered to help with the costs, not because I needed it, but because he wanted to contribute to Marcus's joy. You're giving him the childhood I should have given you, he told me when he handed me the check. I'm giving him the childhood every kid deserves, I corrected. Love without conditions. Support without strings. Family that shows up. He's lucky to have you. We're lucky to have each other. If you're watching this and you recognize yourself in my story, if you have family members who treat love like a transaction, who show up only when it's convenient, who make you feel like you have to earn basic affection and respect, I want you to hear this. You deserve better. Your children deserve better. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. It's been 4 years since I received that invoice. 4 years since I cut off my mother and most of my family. And Marcus is thriving. He's confident, kind, secure in his worth. He doesn't wait by windows anymore. He doesn't ask if he did something wrong when people disappoint him. He knows his value because I show him every single day that he's valued. That's what real family does. They show up. They stay. They love without keeping score. To everyone who's ever been the black sheep, the forgotten one, the child who received recycled cards and clearance toys while others got iPads and designer clothes, I see you. Your worth isn't determined by how your family treats you. It's determined by how you treat yourself and the people you choose to keep close. We can't change the family we're born into, but we can absolutely choose the family we keep. And sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is choose ourselves. Marcus is 12 now. He still loves space, still dreams of being an astronaut. When people ask him about his family, he says, "I have a small family, but it's a good one. Quality over quantity, you know?" Yes, buddy. I know. If this story resonated with you, please share it. Like and subscribe, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from, and if you've ever had to make the difficult choice to protect yourself or your child from toxic family dynamics. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And remember, family isn't who you're related to. Family is who shows up. Thank you for listening to our story. I hope it helps you feel less alone in yours.